Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
This is Patriots Week, and we're celebrating, of course, on Thursday, our beloved Independence Day with the 4th of July. And here's a little statement to the activists, the athletes, and the actors that are not in favor of our great country. It was said by William Tyler Page a long time ago. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. Amen. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you from right here at the studio of Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and we wish you a very, very wonderful, patriotic week, with the culmination, of course, on Thursday with our 4th of July Independence Day. I'm brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires ever. You stop in and see them today at all 7 locations. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And this week, it's important to have somebody give our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I ask you a quick question before you run away?
Sure.
Are you as concerned, and this is going to be the theme of the program this morning, are you as concerned as I am, and getting more so every day, of what's being trashed and absolutely not being respected in this country anymore? Our Constitution, our faith, our religion, our laws. Are you concerned like I am?
100%.
What are we going to do? I'm serious. This whole morning is going to be devoted to answers because we've got to do something.
Yes, we do.
I appreciate your call for the pledge. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice lady right there. And right now, let's not hesitate. Let's tell you a little bit about K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Right there. Can't miss them. On the Burley-Paul Highway. My goodness, they've got the best of tools and equipment for you to finish any job you're involved in. They've got all your gardening tools, your tillers, your mowers for your gardens. They've got everything. Or mowers for your lawns. Don't go mowing your garden. I did that once. It doesn't work. And they've got everything over there. Roger and the crew get there early in the morning at 7 a.m. to better serve you at K&R Rental in Heyburn. Number to call, 678-3122. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Monday, and we're expecting a beautiful day, sunny skies, and a high of 87. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow, expecting sunny skies, high of 85 with an overnight low of 54. Then for Wednesday, not too bad. A few clouds rolling into the valley, partly sunny skies, high of 80. We do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms by Wednesday night with a low of 52. Then for Independence Day, Thursday, partly sunny skies, slight chance of rain showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast with a high of 80. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zephyr Ranch.
She does a great job. Thank you very much, Gina. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Don't go renting those mowers to mow your gardens. Use them to mow your lawns. There you go. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. The number to call, 678-3122. Caller, just hang on just for a couple of seconds. I'll be right with you. I want to remind everybody a big thank you to all of our lunch bunchers. We had lunch bunch last Thursday at Denny's restaurant. Really a really fun lunch. Thank you for all your support. We appreciate it. By the way, also I want to mention about Darrow's Cleaners, and they're located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I'll tell you what, if you don't have time to do your washing, take it into Darrow's. They'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes just like Mom used to do, and save you a lot of time and effort. They're located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Wonderful people serving you at Darrow's Cleaners in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. This gay and lesbian thing here in Twin Falls, this gay and lesbian debacle in New York, the invasion of our country by all these illiterates that are pouring in here. I think the only thing that's going to save this country is eventually the military is going to have to come in and straighten things out.
I don't know how much more.
But I think that's about it.
I don't know how much more we can take. I'm going to be talking about another story that's, if you haven't heard about it, it happened in Portland, Oregon, and we're going to be talking about it in just a few minutes, Tony. But I totally agree with you that things are getting completely out of hand. The demented, evil left is taking over, and it's got to be stopped if we're going to have any kind of a moral value or value system at all in this country. I agree with you 1,000%.
Well, it's going to have to be drastic. It get to the point where the military is going to have to go out and go door to door, drag these people out, put them back in where they belong. This gay and lesbian stuff is going to be so easy to conquer by the enemies when they move in here.
Yeah, it's getting worse every day, and I just can't say enough or do enough on this program to alert people of the many dangers that are going on, but I do appreciate your call this morning. Red, white, and blue week this week, Tony. God bless you and Mary. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Zeb.
All right, sir. Caller number 2, you're going to have to stand by and wait just a second, please. I want to remind everybody about Denny's restaurant. We were over there last week on Thursday. Had a wonderful lunch bunch, and we served ice cream to all of our guests to celebrate not only June Dairy Month, but also summertime. And thank you, Denny's Restaurant. Michelle, Thomas, everybody over there. Wonderful, wonderful people at 611 North Overland in Burley. And the menu choices, outstanding. I know that since I started mentioning all those delicious strawberry vanilla crepe breakfasts, woo, a lot of those people had them and loved them. It's always good at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley, and also another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls, America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. And a big shout-out, good morning, to our friends over at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Already they've been there since about 7:30 this morning, and they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They've got all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, heavy on the word cooling right now. And if you've got an air conditioner, you're probably going to be cranking it up over the next couple of days, getting up there pretty warm. They've got all the air filters for your air conditioning units right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. At the Burley Senior Center on South Overland, we're having chicken and waffles, corn and peaches, and of course there will be milk or coffee and other goodies along with the Senior Center. And you can get a takeout meal if you call in for only $5.
Hey, Joe, I have never heard, did you say a combination of chicken and waffles? I've never heard of that combination.
Well, I haven't either, but you never know what goodies you'll find at the Burley Senior Center.
There you go, Joe. Have a wonderful Patriots week, Red, White, and Blue week. Thank you. I have a great appreciation for what you do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you and all that you do, and you have a great 4th of July week.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much. My dear friend Joe Taylor, and, of course, talking about the Senior Center on Overland in Burley. Real quick, the passing, I believe it was last Friday, of a dear friend of this program, and especially a dear friend of me and my wife. And that was George Faulkner, a man that had really lived life and had seen the bad side of life and also the very good. And everywhere he went, he was always kind of a shining light of the good. And I was so proud to know him. The only thing I feel really bad about is that he and I never really had a chance to get that fishing pole in the same boat and go out fishing. I feel bad about that, but I just want to say how much I appreciated his friendship. George Faulkner passing away last Friday. Caller, one moment, I'll be right with you. I want to remind everybody about our dear friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Oh, boy, I went in there and had a wonderful kind of a tune-up, if you will, the other day. And Nick Greenwell and all of his staff, they absolutely do the greatest job to get you back to being you. I urge you to stop in or give them a call at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The best of physical therapists, the best of exercises, the hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind in the area. They really can and will help you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Call today, 678-1191. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. The groaner of the day is brought to you by the lady with the squirt gun. Okay? What is a pig called that doesn't have any legs?
I know the answer to this. She told me, but go ahead and give the audience the answer to it quickly.
Oh, this is terrible. They're called a groundhog.
A groundhog. I know, I still chuckle at that. I'll tell you what. We always look forward to Lunch Bunch and having, just a minute, Keith, we always look forward to Lunch Bunch and having all the various people there, and it was a treat to have Helen back with us this last week.
It certainly was. She's one of my wife's best friends, and so, I get to hear all these corny things, and she's always trying to brighten somebody's day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what I really called you about is that many times you and Deanne have taken a trip, and you got to think along the way there was Bill and Martha, and that you haven't seen for long. I'm going to give them a call, and maybe we can drop in and have lunch or something. That's exactly what Trump has done in North Korea. He was over that way. Hey, Kim, let's have lunch or something. Let's meet at the DMZ and take it from there. But no, people cannot accept that. They think he's a murderer and everything. But can you think of how many people would be murdered if we didn't at least give it a try?
Yeah, well, let me break this down a little bit, and Wheels have got just a touch of feedback there. First of all, I do not believe, now you might take issue with this, but I do not believe that this was a spontaneous, hey, I'm over in the neighborhood, can I drop in for a half a cup of sugar type attitude. No, I don't believe it at all. With the world situation as volatile as it is and dangerous, with world leaders trying to communicate with other leaders, and all the security and all the people behind the scenes that have to negotiate to make sure this is done, that's done. We got to make sure that street corner's looked at, that mountain or that building top's looked at. I don't believe this was a just happenstance. I think it may have been projected to the American public and, for that matter, the world, but I don't believe it. I think this was planned quite some time ago.
Well, you're absolutely right, because when you're dealing in national affairs like President Trump, he has a schedule that's probably 4 and 5 months out. and you've got to make time in between. But I think they did a good job of keeping it from this stupid media that we have, who just slams the heck out of Trump for even talking to him.
Yeah. Some of the comments that I've heard and read and listened to over the last couple of days from some of the presidential possible nominees on the Democratic Party were disgusting. That's the only way I can describe it. Many said, he's kind of cavorting with dictators, and Trump, you can't trust him now because he's friends with Kim Jong-un. Wait a minute. If he did nothing, and he put us on the brink of a nuclear war or Holocaust with this guy by trying to be tough with him and not trying to negotiate, there'd be the opposite. I mean, you're in a no-win situation with the stupid liberal left if you're Donald Trump or any supporter of conservative politics.
Remember that quote that, keep your friends close to you, but keep your enemies even closer?
Absolutely.
That's what he's doing.
Absolutely. Keith, I got to do some commercials. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Caller number 2, stand by. I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody real quick that Jake and the crew over at Rain for Rent, they're busy, and they love every minute of it. I mean, when they open the door, they go, come on, phone, give us a call. You better believe it, at Rain for Rent, 438-5065. They are really serving all the folks out there in agriculture with the best of irrigation needs. They're a Reinke Diamond dealer, and they have, honestly, a dedicated sales and service staff next to none. They are the best in serving you. They're located at 134 South, 600 West of Paul, and they're open from 8 to 5, but I'll tell you what, during these summer hours of service, you can depend they're going to be there. Rain for Rent. Absolutely. And they've got the telemetry annex boxes, too, for your phone so that you can control any pivot and all your irrigation. I mean, it's way above my pay scale to understand all this, but they do at Rain for Rent, and they can help you. 438-5065. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I think we should really take homage to the sacrifice of those that signed the Declaration of Independence and those that fought in the Revolutionary War. I just don't think we appreciate. It's not being taught in our schools very much anymore, and unfortunately. And we've gotten all this revisionist history that our founders were a bunch of bounders. And I can tell you, those 56 men that signed the Declaration of Independence pledged their lives, fortunes, and their sacred honor when they signed that document. And I can guarantee you many of them, 9 of them lost their lives. I mean, that's literally, they gave their lives. Many of them lost all of their properties, their families, and it's just amazing what they had to go through, and we just take that for granted today.
Yeah.
It's just really sad when you talk about the reprobates that are all 20 of them running for the Democratic nomination. I mean, to me, they want to give all the illegals all the free stuff and so forth. This is so far away from what our founders want. And Benjamin Franklin said after the, Constitution was signed and formed that he was asked by a lady, what have you given us? And Ben Franklin said, we've given you a republic if you can keep it.
Yeah.
Well, now all we hear about is democracy, and of course democracy is, according to Madison, one of the worst forms of government because it leads to mobocracy. It's majority rule. There's no rights.
All right, Adrian, I need to jump in here. First of all, during the debates, I agree with you 100%. They kept using democracy. They never did really call America what it is a republic. And not one of those people, and I'll stand corrected if somebody can show me on the tape, correctly addressed what this country is and what it stands for. But this is Patriotic Week, and every single day on this program leading up to the 4th of July, I am going to absolutely highlight what I think needs to be done. And I'm going to be talking about a story here in Portland, Oregon that happened over the weekend that absolutely sickens me. And it draws attention to the fact that we as Americans that believe in laws and our Constitution, we've got to start standing up and fighting back.
Absolutely. And, you know, I just want to point out that these were men that signed the Declaration of Independence. They were not rabble-rousers. They had security, but they valued liberty more than they valued. They knew what they were doing. George Washington, in his writings, documented 67 times that Providence is the term they used for God back then, had intervened to save his ragamuffin.
That's right.
That's what they called his army.
That's
the
right.
Ragamuffin army. 67 times. And so this country, there's never, as you said many times, there's never been a country in the history of the earth, the planet, that has been like the United States of America. There's been more opportunity for more people to live out their dreams and their destiny, but we have these reprobates that running on the socialist communist ticket, so to speak. I mean, socialism, communism never works, always ends up in mobocracy, and individual liberty is gone.
Absolutely. Wait, whoa, Adrian, I've got, Adrian, wait a minute. I've got a lot of things to get in this morning. Your point is so well taken, I'm going to elaborate on it as we go along. But I do thank our forefathers for the blood, sweat, and tears and lives that were shed for us. Thank you for your call this morning. I've got to get some commercials in quickly. Thank you.
I hope that we remember this is not just to celebrate the 4th of July, but we celebrate Independence Day. And that one last thing, our founding fathers viewed Independence Day as a religious holiday because Jesus Christ is the author of liberty.
Thank you very much for your call this morning. I appreciate that. Thank you. This is Patriotic Week for my program. It may not be for others, but it's going to be every day on this show. Caller, I'll be right with you. Please stand by. I want to remind everybody Dr. Bill had a big birthday this last week. That's right. Dr. Bill over at Ark Animal Hospital. Happy birthday to him. 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hebron. They're mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they take care of them all. Whether it's your horses or your dairy cattle, your beef cattle, little bitty kitty cats, puppy dogs, take care of your pets. Absolutely. Make sure they stay healthy, and that's what they're there for. Ark Animal Hospital, Dr. Bill and the whole crew, of course. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Call them today, 678-1177, Ark Animal Hospital. Holy cow, I'm running a little bit late. Wheels, can we have this good word for the Silver State Stampede?
Follow the crowd to family entertainment at its best. The 2019 Silver State Stampede roars into Elko July 12, 13, and 14 at the Elko County Fairgrounds. Kicking off this fast-paced weekend is the annual Tri-Tip Dinner on Friday, along with mutton busting, Old West bronc riding, PRCA rodeo action, the always popular Ring of Fear, and new this year, mini bull riding. The fun continues on Saturday and Sunday with more PRCA rodeo action, and you can dance the night away with the music of Moonshine Outlaws. Get your advance tickets today at Roy's, J.M. Capriola Company, IFA, the Boot Barn, and the Elko Chamber of Commerce. Don't forget the best in the West is waiting for you at the Silver State Stampede, July 12, 13, and 14. For more information, visit us at silverstatestampede.com. Head to the Elko County Fairgrounds for the one, the only Silver State Stampede. Rope and ride on the wild side.
Absolutely. Hey, it's time to give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. What a great restaurant. What a great bakery. Delicious. All the cookies and the pies and the cakes and the wedding cakes, everything. Wow. You're going to love it. And if you're the winner of the question for today, you will get the dozen cookies, and you just call them and let them know when you'll be in to pick up your cookies. Here's the question, and I want somebody to call me real quick on this one. Name two movies where super Western stars John Wayne and James Stewart starred together. Name two movies where superstar Western actors John Wayne and James Stewart starred together. Call me quickly at 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your phone call, I want to remind you about a lot of the Rupert merchants, of course, saying come on over and enjoy the full week of activity that's going on right now in Rupert. And they include, for the 4th of July Independence Day celebration, Magic Valley Carpet, 613 D Street. Oh, my goodness, all your flooring needs, carpet, hardwood, vinyl, laminates, all of this and more with the best experience of anybody, Magic Valley Carpet in Rupert. Don't forget, too, Haskin Insurance Service, 629 Fremont Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, they have all your insurance, your partner in insurance protection. I urge you to give them a call today. Haskin Insurance Services, 436-4141. Wishing you a very safe, sane Independence Day. And Snyder Surplus at 116 South, 200 west of Rupert. Oh, my goodness, they've got everything. Underline that word, everything. From ammunition to mess kits to storage desks, chairs, you name it, it's all there at Snyder Surplus at 116 South, 200 west of Rupert. And all of these businesses wish you a very happy Independence Day on the 4th of July. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Wheels, do we have a caller there or not?
Yep, there should be. It should be Keith, but...
All right, caller, quickly go. I don't hear him. Wheels, are you sure you have the dial turned up there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's up, sir.
All right, well, let's take another call then. I'm sorry, go ahead. We need to get... All right, listen, folks, call in, give us just a little time to get you in there. And I said the question for the cookies, name 2 movies where John Wayne and James Stewart starred together. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go.
How about How the West Was Won and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance?
That's now on the How the West Was Won. I do not think they were in that movie together.
Okay.
Now, if you prove me wrong, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to say which one you got right or wrong, but I'm just going to say on How the West Was Won, I don't believe they were in that movie together, but if I'm wrong, I will personally buy you the cookies, okay?
All right.
All right, thank you. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Wheels, do we have another caller waiting? I believe so, right now. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Would it be the shootist?
And
Who Shot Liberty Valance?
That's right. What's your name?
Kerry Taylor.
Terry with a T?
With a K.
Oh, Carrie. I'm sorry. Well, Carrie, I thank you very much. You are 100% spot on. It was the shootist, and then it was also the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. You call over to Sophie's and get your cookies lined out, and I hope you and your family have a wonderful, blessed Independence Day.
Well, thank you, sir.
All right, sir. God bless. Thank you very, very much. I also want to mention some of the great activities that are going on over at Rupert's 4th of July celebration, and thanks to Sophie's for our cookies, quickly, I want to say that, and the winner, Kerry Taylor. And right now I want to mention to you that today, all the food booths are going to be opened up, and tonight at 6 p.m. they're going to have the Sounds of Freedom, and then at 6 o'clock also at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds, they're going to have the 3rd annual mutton busting competition. Oh, that's gonna be wild. Every day they're gonna have a lot of fun over at the 4th of July schedule of events for Independence Day in Rupert, celebrating Independence Day the Rupert way with Grand Marshals Dean and Linda Cameron. And don't forget, on Thursday at 11 o'clock, the huge parade. All of this at Rupert's 4th of July schedule of events for Independence Day 2019. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. I've got a question. I drive truck, and have you noticed since Trump's been put in and the economy's better, how much kinder people are? They'll open the door for you. You can sit and talk to them, but when Obama was in, everybody had their head down and was kicking rocks and was so mad, or is that just me? Have you noticed that, Zeb?
Well, I'm going to tell you this much. I feel much more comfortable, myself personally, knowing that Donald Trump is in the Oval Office as the President of the United States. I really was concerned and worried, and I've got to say this, filled with spite over Barack Obama. I didn't think that he was a worthy man to be the president. I think he's got us into a lot of problems that we are not going to get out of, possibly ever, in our lifetime, let alone our children's lifetime. I think you may have something there.
Well, maybe people don't notice it, but even out on the road, people are more courteous. There's not as much road rage, but I can't see why we want to go back what we had 6 years ago. I just cannot understand that. And how can the Democrats celebrate Independence Day when they're trying to take us back to what England's got right now, take us right back to where they was at? How can we even celebrate that?
Well, let me ask you something. You said you're a truck driver, and I've got a lot of respect for the trucking industry. I've got a lot of friends involved in it. But, you know, with the Democrats and the left wanting to take and go with this new Green Deal of energy, your job could be in extreme jeopardy in the not-too-distant future.
Well, I agree, because I haul fuel.
Yeah.
If the trucks go away, my job goes away.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. It's got us all a little concerned out here, Jeb. It really does.
Absolutely, and it should. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on with Calvin Beisner with the Cornwall Institute. And I do appreciate your call, and may I extend to you the best of Patriots Week, and especially this Thursday, Independence Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Right back at you.
All right, sir. God bless you. Thank you. Caller number 2. Boy, I'm swamped, but I'm going to be right there. Don't forget, I want to mention to everybody a big thank you and shout out to our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, boy, are they busy. And this time of the year, they've got everything. Everything for the lifting, the digging, the pushing, and the carrying. I mean, they've got all the big equipment, the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators and all the Bobcats. They've got it all. All the mini excavators, skid steers, you better believe it. And if you're renting or buying, they've got everything. And if you're not sure how to run it, they'll teach you in the big sandbox right out behind the business. Berry Equipment and Rental, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location. Look no further. For the best of equipment to get the tough jobs done, Berry Equipment and Rental. Caller, thank you for your patience. Good morning.
Good morning. I just wondered if you had the opportunity, or how many in the audience had the opportunity last night to attend that totally awesome Patriot musical at the King Fine Arts.
I did not have the opportunity to get down there last evening. We were with another part of the family, and I had heard already this morning, I had a couple of calls, people said it was outstanding.
It was totally awesome. It just made your heart feel good.
Well, you know, and that's what I want to talk about here in just a little bit, patriotism and the red, white, and blue, and looking at that flag and really looking not just at the cloth waving in the breeze, but remembering all the blood, sweat, and tears and lives that went into providing us, right at this very day, this very moment, the freedoms we enjoy in this country. And for those, it might sound corny to some, but that's what's going to happen every day on this program.
That will be awesome.
Lorna, you're always well. God bless you, and I hope.
Just totally awesome.
Well, thank you. And we always appreciate your friendship and your support. Thanks, Lorna. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
And God bless you, too. And happy Independence Day.
God bless you. Thank you. There's a very, very nice lady, and one of our stalwarts of our lunch bunch, and I really appreciate her. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I want to remind you that 9:06 this morning, Richard Manning's going to be on the air, then Calvin Beisner. We've got some real heavy hitters coming on the program this morning. I still haven't had a chance to tell you about what happened in Portland, but I'll get to it momentarily. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Zeb, I want to echo what that woman just said.
That program last night was fantastic. It was just really something.
Bob, let me ask you a question real quick. Lorna just called about it. You've called about it. What was the general feeling of all the audience? Were there a lot of people there? Did they appreciate everything that was done for Red, White, and Blue Week, our Independence Day? Give us kind of a feeling as to what the other people in the audience felt.
Well, it's hard to tell what other people feel in this day and age, but I think by and large, everybody was thrilled, took it in, and was really touched by everything that happened.
Absolutely. I've had the occasion...
The people that put that on, Colleen Wood and others, I'll tell you, it was just fantastic.
Well, good. And I mean that, good. I've been there in years past, and it's always been very moving and, like it should be, very patriotic at this particular time of the year, our celebration of Independence Day for this year, 2019. Bob, God bless you, and thank you for your call.
This country needs to have this done to it about once a month.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
And if people don't like it, get the hell out of here. We don't need you.
Thank you. Very well stated.
Have a good day.
All right, my friend. I'm not going to argue with this point at all. I agree with it. I watched a story on the news that is so chilling. It's so chilling because it can happen to you, it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody today, more so than perhaps at any other time in our history. And we're going to talk about that right after I do a couple of good words, take a call, and then the weather forecast. We're a little bit busy this morning. Hey, when Matt and Kelly Wiggins set out to build Greystone Crossing, they wanted it to be just a big home where residents would feel part of the family unit. A 12-bedroom home, Greystone Crossing, independent senior living on Alfresco Road, 21st Street, for the ones that aren't familiar, right over there in Heyburn, a mile east of Walmart. It's absolutely a wonderful place. 3 meals a day plus snacks and housekeeping and local transportation are all included in the rent. But I'll tell you what, the most important feature of Greystone Crossing is community with friends and associates that you really enjoy. Please give them a call at Greystone Crossing at 650-4979. They'd be happy to set up an appointment to show you around a wonderful place to live, Greystone Crossing. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Zeb, I just was calling in. That lady on how the West was won was correct. John Wayne was General William Tecumseh Sherman, and Jimmy Stewart was Linus Rawlings.
That, you know what, now you've jogged my memory, and that is correct. And so that lady that called in and said how the West was won along with the shootist, I'm going to have her call me if she would, please, and I personally am going to buy the cookies for her. That is right. I was wrong about how the West was won. I was thinking about the version with, James Arness, and not the original, and you're 100% right.
Thanks, Zeb. See ya.
You bet. Thank you. And to that lady that called in and I said, no, I don't think so. You call me back after the program and I'm personally going to take care of getting your cookies and I'll pay the bill. Caller, quickly, I've got a weather forecast. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I want to comment on that Patriot deal that went on at the Fine Arts Center over there at Root and Burley.
Well, a good morning to you too, sir.
It was fantastic. Good morning, sir. The lost has been found.
Yes.
Anyway, and it was fantastic. I enjoyed every minute of it. If we hadn't had plans, we'd have stayed for the second show. It was that good.
Oh, my goodness sakes. We missed you and your bride at Lunch Bunch last week.
I missed Lunch Bunch last week.
Well, we felt...
Something come up, and I had to run the Twin, and so I am very, very sorry. I will make up for it next week. The shorts will be on.
Oh, please, no. Hey, Doug, while I got you on the air, I'm going to ask you to hold just for a minute. Would you stay through the weather? Because I want to mention something, okay?
Yes, I
Would you do that? Our weather being brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And, of course, they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. And the number to call, and you really need to call, if you're noticing any impairment of your hearing, they can and they will help. Believe me, they help me. Stop. Right now, call 312-0957, 312-0957. All three doctors of audiology, Dr. Pickup, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Hunsaker, very, very knowledgeable to serve you and help your hearing. Call today, 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Monday, and we're expecting a beautiful day, sunny skies, and a high of 87. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow, expecting sunny skies, high of 85 with an overnight low of 54. Then for Wednesday, not too bad. A few clouds rolling into the valley, partly sunny skies, high of 80. We do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms by Wednesday night with a low of 52. Then for Independence Day, Thursday, partly sunny skies, slight chance of rain showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast with a high of 80. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zephyr.
Gina, thank you. And the weather brought to you this hour by some mighty fine folks, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And the number to call to make a hearing screening appointment, 312-0957. You get a hold of them today. Doug, last week, just absolutely, this story was so vividly poignant to me that we've lost control in this country. We've lost the respect of law. We've lost the respect of each other. And the left is winning with no slap on the wrist or, quite frankly and bluntly, a good belt to the nose. An Oregon journalist, photojournalist, a conservative who works for a newspaper up in that area, was beaten, he was punched, he was kicked, he was, they threw milkshakes at him, and this might sound funny, but it's not, because they had put quick-drying cement inside those milkshakes. He had bleeding from the ear, bleeding from the eyes, and what did he do? Nothing but trying to cover a story of Antifa, these violent idiots up in Portland, and they put him in the hospital. This is insane, and the police were nowhere to be found.
The police commissioner, the mayor, and anybody involved telling the policemen to step down and let them have their protest and not do anything to stop them from committing violence like this should be fired, should be thrown in jail.
Let me ask you this, though, Doug, and I know I'm going to take a lot of heat for this, and Wheels, if you can boost up what's being fed to me down the line, I'd appreciate it. We are at a point, and I mean this when I say this, that if I have to fear for my wife and myself, or this gentleman fears for his well-being and his health by trying to cover an event, it's time to fight back. It's time to bloody some noses, and it's time to put some people down, because Antifa and other radical groups like this that think they can just come in and beat people up, spit on them, kick them to the curb, it's got to stop, and the police are doing nothing.
Yes. And they're supposed to be anti-fascist. But what methods are they using? They are the fascist group. They are the modern Democrats, KKK. Is exactly who they are. The Democrats support them. The Democrat wants them to go out and do that. I mean, anybody goes out and protests. I mean, you have a right to protest. But you do not have a right to put a mask on. You do not have a right to throw and injure anybody in your protest.
I just don't know how much longer we're going to take this. We're seeing complete insurrection by the left in this country. If they don't get their way, they're going to hammer, beat up, spit on people until they do get their way. And for the police being told to stand down, where in the world is the sanity in this country for American citizens to be protected?
There isn't. They do not want... They want chaos, Zeb. The left wants chaos. That is why they do not want to stop people coming across the border, because they want chaos. And when they have chaos, then they can bring this country down. And that's their plan and their goal. I may be wrong. I pray that I'm wrong. But what their actions speak a whole lot louder than their words.
Oh, no, I don't think you're wrong. As a matter of fact, I praise you for being very eloquent in your thoughts and standing up and being a man with courage to say this is what's going on, because this is what's going on. And what I'm afraid of is that, you know who Dan Bongino is?
Yes, sir.
Dan Bongino said something over the weekend, and he repeated it again this morning that I think is, I hate to admit this, and I'm going to sound really negative when I say this, but I think we've lost it. I think in America right now, because we've let the left and their insidious, evil ways permeate our society without being put down, slapped in the face, and thrown away, I think now they've taken over and they've won to the point where if we fight back, it's going to be all-out warfare, and we're going to be the guilty party.
Yes, that's what they want, and that's what they're pushing for. But I have a suggestion. There's a biker group out there, Bikers for Trump. And these boys, they don't take much guff off anybody. Most of them are veterans. And what would be a good deal is when an Antifa files a deal to do a protest, let Bikers for Trump do one right beside them. And then let those Antifa guys try to pull their little sissy antics by throwing that milkshake with the quick dry cement on those boys.
You know, they could have killed this man.
They could have.
They could have easily killed this man. He had to go to the emergency room. He was bleeding from the ear, hemorrhaging from the eye, split lip, just absolutely beat up for doing nothing more than being a reporter.
Yeah, he wasn't antagonizing anybody. He was just taking pictures and going to report what was going on.
Yeah. We're at a point in this country where I know law enforcement, some might not agree with me, but people may, and I want to emphasize the word may, and then I've got another caller, have to start taking the law into their own hands to protect themselves, their people, and their position.
Well, yes, we need to protect ourselves. We need to protect our property. We need to protect our communities. And to do that, we need to stand up and let our voices be heard against these people wanting to tear us down.
Absolutely. Doug, I appreciate it. I hope you and your wife and family have a wonderful Independence Day. Real quick about the seniors. I've only got 30 seconds.
All righty. I worked the senior booth over there yesterday at the square, selling barbecued ribs, beans, coleslaw, and a drink for $10.
Oh, my.
It is delicious.
Well, I thank you very much, Doug, always for being on the program. God bless you, man. Happy Independence Day. Appreciate it. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. I've got exactly a minute and a half. Go ahead, please.
Well, you know, you look at this country and you look at what is happening since we elected Trump. You know, you go down the freeway and people are traveling. They have money. They're spending their money. They're feeling free and encouraged and emboldened, and you know, you say to yourself, how in the world? And they're not all from Idaho. They're from all over, Washington, Oregon, you know, people that you wonder what they're thinking. But they're sure enjoying this economy, though, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Home of the free, land of the, you know, whatever. You know what I mean? Are we appreciating it? Do our kids know better? What are we teaching them? And see, you know, they've got to know better in order to understand what it is to save it.
All I'm going to say this morning is that for the rest of this week leading up to Thursday for Independence Day celebration on the 4th of July, we've got to change this thing, Randy. You've called and you've talked about it many, many, many times on this program. I, of course, have reiterated my thoughts about we've got to start cracking down. We're losing this country. We're losing its moral value. We're losing its compass to keep steering towards it being better all the time. And they want to turn around and be regressive and turn this into basically a chaotic, absolutely anarchist state, and we've got to fight back.
Well, when your constituents don't know anything, it's easy to fool them. I'll hang up.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I want to remind you, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, they've got the best tires ever. And go in and check out tires like for your pickups and SUVs, the Backcountry MTs, the Backcountry ATs, or the Road Control tires. And there's rebates on those wonderful tires to help save you money. You better get in there and check it out today at any one of the 7 Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They are ready right now on this July 1st to help save you money. And also the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and so much more by the people that really, really care about your safe driving. All 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Right now, we're going to take a little break, go to the news. I'll see you back here in 7. Oh, good morning on this Patriots Week, with Thursday being Independence Day, the 4th of July. Zeb at the Ranch, and very happy to be with you. Brought to you by, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, really serving you with the best of tires. Stop in and see them today. Along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Wheels, right now, if we could please have this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. I urge you to get on the route service. Once a week, they'll come by, pick up your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Wave goodbye. They really help take care of you. All you need to do is call 734-6969. That number again, 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. By the way, don't forget on Wednesday, we've got our fishing show, the Old Fishing Hole, sponsored by Sportsman's Warehouse at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Josh Anderson is going to be out there somewhere, standing in the stream or out in a boat in the river, on a lake, fishing while he calls in, and he's going to be landing all the big ones, telling you how to do it with all the equipment, tackle, and everything from Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls, Wednesdays at 10:06, the Old Fishing Hole. A reminder, too, about our friends at Save on Shells, 1827 Overland and Burley. Hello, Anthony. How are you? I've bought 2 shells at various times for my pickups, and absolutely the best in service, the lowest of prices, and he really cares. I'll guarantee you. This is a man you need to talk to because nobody knows more about camper shells than he does. Be sure and get a hold of him today. Anthony at Save on Shells, 1827 Overland in Burley. That number to call, 312-1525. I'll repeat it again, 312-1525. And real quick, before we go to Richard Manning this morning, I want to remind you, too, about another man that is with his family and staff. So community-oriented, especially during this week of the 4th of July Independence Day. And that's, of course, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. The number to call, 436-5636. Joel Heward, family and staff, there to serve your family when there's the passing of a loved one, always with the best possible support and comfort. And remember this, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please call 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. It is Monday, And this next gentleman, he's going to have to kind of try to quell or quash my temper this morning because I'm very upset as to a lack of respect that's going on in this country, this great United States of America, not only for this Independence Day celebration coming up on Thursday, but in general, basically disavowalment of our laws, our Constitution, and everything with the blood, sweat, and tears and lives that were given for you and I. Richard Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government. We're going to talk about this. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Is this Richard?
It is.
Oh, it didn't sound like you.
I'm not on a cell phone, so I sound normal.
Well, my goodness, it's good to hear from you, my dear friend. Richard, I got to admit, I'm not in a good humor this morning. I'm just literally mad as what's going on in this country with the left. After I saw those two basically ridiculous debates last week, it was like Sesame Street for adults. It was pathetic to hear that these people want to lead our country into oblivion and also into complete taxation. And then we hear about an Oregon photojournalist that is beaten up by Antifa. He could have easily been killed. They put quick dry cement inside milkshakes, throwing at him. He had bleeding from the ears and the nose and the eyes. This young man could have been killed for doing nothing more than being a reporter watching the stupidity of Antifa. We've got to do something in this country, and I don't know what it is. You tell me.
You asked the big question. That really is very hard to know. First of all, let me just be clear. Antifa has been actively attacking Trump supporters since the campaign. If you remember back in, I think it was early 2016, the president had to cancel a rally in Chicago because the Chicago police said, we're not going to be able to keep the attendees safe. And so, for all intents and purposes, these radical thugs have been allowed to throw violent temper tantrums, and many of the cities in our country have allowed them to get away with it. As a result, they just continually get worse. This is not any longer a situation which is tolerable. It is not a situation where when you have elected officials, Maxine Waters, but others even recently, saying that it's okay to confront and violently confront those who don't agree with you politically. It is an affront to the very system of governance that we have. The system of deciding who should be in charge is at stake. And quite honestly, the Portland situation is not unlike what happened in San Jose, California during the campaign, where Trump supporters were attacked, and the San Jose State Police stood on the sidelines because the mayor told them to stand on the sidelines. In Portland, the police stood on the sidelines because the mayor told them to stand on the sidelines. And the one thing that we should do is, in the case of Portland right now, every single federal dollar that goes to them for cops and law enforcement should be withdrawn and withheld. Those checks should not be sent, and they should be punished with federal dollars. If they're not going to enforce basic civil liberties, if they're not going to enforce basic laws, they need to be punished. And the only way you punish a big government liberal is take their dollars away.
I agree with you, but Richard, you and I both, being on the radio, you're very well known in the circles that you work with and work for. I am also. It's really something that in this day and age in America, 2019, that we have to start fearing for our lives and our welfare because we speak out for America, its value systems, its Constitution, and its laws, and groups like Antifa or any other absolutely mob-oriented group can come in, do harm, or even perhaps kill someone, and the police are told to stand down. Something has got to change, and I don't know whether it's fighting back. I don't know what the answer is, but it's gone too far.
you know, the fact is, if I had the answer, I'd wave a magic wand.
Yeah.
You know, local police authority is dictated by local police governance, and in a place like Portland, they have, you know, they've made a deal. They said they went after the ICE officers who were trying to do detainment in Portland, and effectively had the Antifa people going nuts on ICE and creating a disruption there. The Antifa is actually a weapon of the left. They're using them as such, and it's a deliberate attack on anybody who doesn't agree with them. So, given that, what do? And it's you know, and the federal government has a few things at their disposal, and the easiest one is the money, which I mentioned. You know, states can call it the National Guard, but in Oregon, Oregon, California, and in a lot of these states, the difference between the attitude of the Portland mayor and the governor of Oregon is not far apart. So it's unlikely the governor would call it the National Guard. So, you know, what is the answer in these circumstances? The answer has got to be that the American people of Oregon, need to say to their government, you know, we expect equal protection under the law, and if I were one of those people attacked, I would sue as a federal civil rights suit the city of Portland for everything they've got, for failing to provide equal protection under the law, and once again, attempt to make this into a case that federalizes it in the same way when the Brown v. Board of Education federalized school desegregation in the 1950s. And by federalizing equal protection under the law in this circumstance, creating an environment where the federal government then can put in troops if necessary to enforce the safety of the citizens of those various cities.
We have a caller with a question, Richard, and then I want to come back and talk to you more about this subject.
An answer that I just gave you, because it's a federalization of something that shouldn't be federalized.
Yeah.
But you're asking me on the spot to come up with alternatives, and that's what I've done.
Absolutely.
I really struggle with that answer.
No, I respect your answer, and I'll talk more about it in a moment. Caller, quickly, please. You're on the air with Richard Manning. Go ahead.
Yeah, Antifa, anti-fascist. That's what it means. I wonder if people know that. I know you know it, both of you and the crowd, but I don't think people understand.
It does mean anti-fascist, supposedly, but here's what it is, where it comes from. It comes from Germany in the 1930s, and the communists had their own set of thugs running around in Germany, and they were fighting the fascists in Germany, and so they have taken on the lifeblood of the namesake of the communist thugs who were in street battles with the Nazi thugs, and they were both thugs. Okay, understand? None of these people were for freedom. They were both for complete control, government control, and they're fighting over the streets, in the streets of Berlin over this. So that's where their origins are. They make no bones about the fact they're a communist-oriented group, and the fact that the Democrats embrace them tells you exactly where the Democrats are. In fact, go to Bernie Sanders' comment about what he would want to do, and the one thing he'd want to get done, and he basically said, I want to do everything, and I want everybody to take to the streets and start rioting to get it done. So Bernie Sanders essentially is the voice of Antifa.
Mm.
You know, one thing quickly, if I may. Yeah, the governor, the Portland mayor, and the governor of Tate Brown of Oregon are right. They're right down they're radical left, environmental insane people. And the city of Portland is just crazy. It's almost worse than Seattle and anywhere in California. It's insane. The people, it's just a small amount of people, but they're very active, these crazies, and they get all the attention and news, I'll hang up. Thanks.
Richard, I appreciate your comment and your straightforwardness on this issue. But I think this week I've dedicated every day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, leading up to Independence Day this week, to celebrate patriotism in this country on my program, something that I think we need to refuel and rebuild. And another story that I wanted you to comment on this morning, everybody was making so much hype about the World Cup and the U.S. women's soccer team, and now members of that team, including a misfit that has caused trouble in the past, Megan Papino, not standing for the national anthem, not honoring our flag, denigrating our president, saying that if they win the World Cup, she's not going to attend, and a lot of profanity-laced verbiage regarding the team shouldn't go to the Trump Oval Office. Where in the world do these people get off on being Americans, being representing my country? I don't want them to represent America.
Well, neither do I. And I am demonstrating my displeasure by not watching their games and trying desperately not to pay attention to their antics, except for in this regard. I think for the first time, I recognize the World Cup and the Olympics, all these things, are essentially nothing more, nothing less than demonstrations of a nationalist kind of approach. You know, national pride. Wrap yourself in the flag and root for the team of a bunch of people you don't even know about, and it's about something you don't really care about, but because they're wearing your jersey, you're rooting for them. And if somebody sits there and wants to burn their jersey, I don't really feel a real need to root for them. And I think when they play Great Britain, it may be the first time I ever root for the Brits to beat the Americans near July 4.
I couldn't agree more. I feel that strongly about this. I don't care if it's football players in the NFL, if it's basketball with the NBA, or if it's these girls representing America on the U.S. women's soccer team. I am fed up and disgusted that I, as a citizen and a taxpayer, we're being scoffed at, we're being diminished, and these creeps are getting all the headlines in a leftist move against respect for this country.
By the way, if I'm not mistaken, the U.S. national team does receive federal monies to support them at some level through the U.S. Olympic Committee and through other committees. And as a result, if they are receiving federal monies, those federal monies should be cut off.
Absolutely. Richard, society in general, though, and Rick, you and I have talked about this many, many times, but, you know, look at, there was a so-called gay pride parade in Manhattan, and then they weren't happy with Chick-fil-A, so they vandalized the restaurant and shut it down. And then we hear from Big Bird de Blasio saying Medicare for all should cover gender reassignment surgery. We, the taxpayers, pay for this. All of these things coming from the left, all of these things like Medicare for illegal aliens, etc., in last week's debates, I'm about ready to throw my hands up in the air and say, where in the hell is the sanity in this country?
Well, the good news, let me give you good news out of this, okay? The good news is they're not lying to us anymore about what they want, okay? For years and years, these guys have said, no, this isn't a slippery slope. You know, just do this and this will take care of it, and they always lie about what they really want, and pretend it's, you know, they want to be reasonable. They're no longer reasonable, and that allows us to have a real conversation about what they really want and what America should be. They believe that they've progressed and moved the country far enough away from our norms that they now can come out and be exactly who they are and tell us that this is that they represent America. Well, we get to have a discussion about that, and I think this July 4th is moving forward this week. This is the exact right time to talk about what freedom really looks like and what it doesn't look like. And, you know, the truth is the gay pride parade in New York, you know what they showed? They showed what hate really looks like.
Yes.
That's what they showed. You know, they showed themselves for what they are. They're misfit haters. And when you get down to it, you know, I think they can't take yes for an answer. People have said, we don't care what you do in the privacy of your own home. Just don't bug us about it. But now they want to constantly bug us about it. And, as far as I'm concerned, it's all about trying to force the world to accept sin. And quite honestly, I'm not going to hate them over their sin because we all have sin. It would be foolish. It'd be unbiblical. Hate somebody because they have sin, because every single one of us is burdened with sin. We, since Adam and Eve ate the apple. But you know what? I'm not gonna worship their sin. I'm not gonna embrace their sin. I'm not gonna say that their sin is okay. I'm just not going. But I'm certainly not gonna hate them over it. That'd be like hating somebody because they lie, or hating somebody because they, had a divorce at one point and engaged in adultery. I mean, you don't do that. That's wrong. But they want us to accept it and embrace it. We won't, and I won't do that. As long as they claim that not embracing their sin is hate, sign me up.
We have a caller with a quick question. I'm down to 3.5 minutes left in the segment. Caller, real fast.
Good morning, Zeb. Hey, my question is, these people, they want socialism, and that's what's coming about, and the gay pride parades and all that is just another way to initiate it. But on top of that, they're advocating things such as abortion and death of the elderly who are old and can no longer contribute. Don't they realize without enough ants, the ant hill or the beehive or whatever you want to relate it to will collapse and will fall, and there will be nothing left?
I'll have Rick respond to that. Go ahead, Rick. Respond to the caller, please.
That's their objective. They want to destroy everything. They are not creators. They're not builders. They're destroyers. They aren't the ones who build out of the ashes. They're the ones who want to rule over the ashes. So that's their objective.
Real quick, I want you to respond to what President Trump and Kim Jong-un meeting supposedly at a spur of the moment. Give us your thoughts on that meeting, please.
Donald Trump is a unique president. He is somebody who's willing to break conventions, try to get something done, and he works on a lot of different levels, and he tries to get a lot of different things done. I have to tell you that I was really blown away about it. Not because I have any great expectation that there's going to be a final deal struck that everybody's going to love, but that this guy's willing to risk an awful lot to try to make the world a more peaceful place. For all the grief he gets, for everything that he gets in terms of pain and being yelled at and being called names, ultimately he says, I got 4 to 6 years left, or 2 to 6 years left, to try to leave the world a much better place than when I got here. And if we can denuclearize the Korean Peninsula, that would make the world a much better place. And he's willing to risk personal and political capital to get it done. And I greatly admire that. I don't have any, I don't know if it's going to work. Kim has to agree too. Kim Jong-un needs to agree also. But this president is willing to do what's necessary to be a peacemaker. And I greatly admire that.
I want to tell you how much I appreciate personally your being here every Monday on our program, because you add a lot of sanity and reason to what's going on in the world today. President of Americans for Limited Government, Rick Manning, a friend. And I extend to you the best of Independence Day wishes this year. Thank you so much for being on my program.
Great 4th of July to all the listeners out there. Celebrate this great country. Don't be afraid. Just go out and celebrate and have fun. And tell people why you're celebrating. Don't just shoot off fireworks, but tell them why.
There you go, my friend. Thank you. God bless. See you later. Thank you very much. Excellent guy right there, Rick Manning. I appreciate it. We've got a lot of things to cover here quickly, and then our next guest coming on the air. Want to remind you about many of the merchants that are saying, come on over to Rupert for the great big 2019 Independence Day celebration this week for the 4th of July. Senator Kelly Anthon says, come on over, man. We've got all kinds of great things. A lot of fun, a lot of great food, fireworks, horse racing, lawnmower races, and so much more. Great guy. Senator Kelly Anthon and his family wanting inviting you to come over and celebrate in Rupert this week for Independence Day celebration. Dixon Oil, 602 South 2nd in Rupert says, come on over and enjoy our fun. A great service station, gas, oil, and propane. And Daryl and the crew at Dixon Oil wish you the best, safe, and sane Independence Day ever. Please stop in and visit with these great folks at Dixon Oil. And Haruza Insurance with David Haruza and his staff at 723 South 3rd Street in Rupert. They, of course, have all your commercial and business, auto, home, life, and health insurance for you. Please give them a call. Find out more. Haruza Insurance in Rupert. All of these great businesses saying, come on over and enjoy the great 4th of July Independence Day festivities. Okay, today being Monday, like I said, the Sounds of Freedom are going to be the entertainment in the City Park tonight. And then they're going to have at 7:30, Kimberly Rhodes, another great music group. Then at 6 p.m. also tonight, the 3rd annual Mutton Bustin' at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds. Tomorrow, more with the Sounds of Freedom and the country band, the Chancellors. Wednesday, I should say, at 6 p.m., the Firecracker 500 lawnmower races at the Minidoka County. I'm going to say that again. Minidoka County Fairgrounds. And then don't forget Thursday, Independence Day, the huge Rupert 4th of July parade. Wow, at 11 o'clock. All of this and more with the theme celebrating Independence Day the Rupert way. You be sure and get over and enjoy. Wow, we got a lot of things going on, and I also want to remind you, too, about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff Bronson and the rest of the great staff over there. These are really, really great people that serve you with the beautification and the comfortization of your home. I don't know if that's a word or not, but it is now. They're having a summer clearance on mattresses and recliners, and believe me, when I say recliners, they've got a great big herd of recliners. Holy smokes, go in there, they've got them all. For tall people, short people, for real thin people, and for the rest of us. I urge you to stop over and check it out. All the great buys on recliners at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And check out all the carpets. They're having a closeout on some carpets and all the floor coverings. All of this for you at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Also, real quick, I want to remind you about our friends at Let's Ride. My goodness, we had a good conversation the other day, last week, with Nick over at Let's Ride. You need to get out. You need to get out and just enjoy the four-wheelers and the side-by-sides and all the watercraft. Oh, my goodness, the temperatures are going to be nice and warm. Get on the lakes and the rivers. And then, of course, go up in the mountains with all those four-wheelers. And they've got a showroom just chock full of fun. Absolutely, at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4, where the fun is sold. Let's Ride. You get over and see those good folks today. Right now, a gentleman that's going to be coming on our program has been here numerous times in the past, and I have the utmost respect for him and what he represents. We say good morning to E. Calvin Beisner with the Cornwall Institute. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing great, Seth. Great to be back with you, and great to have a chance just to familiarize some more people with what the Cornwall Alliance for the Stewardship of Creation does. Because we think it's something that is really helpful to an awful lot of people here in America and around the world.
Absolutely. And let me just start things off this morning for all the many, many times that you've been on our program. And we've been talking about environmental issues. And I hope you don't mind if I just call you Calvin. But
certainly.
I'm really worried, Calvin. I'm worried that you and I and others like us, are being diminished and wrinkled up and thrown in the trash can. And the left, with their insidious thoughts about getting rid of our capitalist system and replacing it with socialism and replacing fossil fuels and regressing us back into the iffy situation of green energy. I'm really concerned. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm really concerned too. And Zeb, I was hearing you talk about the coming 4th of July, and I'm a patriotic American myself, and I think it's a great time to talk about capitalism. And why is that? Well, it's because the real founder of the capitalist economic philosophy, or what I prefer to call, frankly, free markets, right, was Adam Smith, the great Scottish philosopher and economist, whose book, An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, more popularly referred to simply as The Wealth of Nations, was published in 1776, the year of our Declaration of Independence. And within a few years, pretty much all of the major thinkers among America's founding fathers had read that book and were heavily influenced by it. And therefore, when they wrote our Constitution the next decade, they wrote it in a way that made it very favorable to free markets, to, frankly, to private individuals owning property and private individuals making the decisions about who makes what for whom at what price using what resources, rather than having the government make those decisions. So it's a great time. July 4 coming up. We're celebrating American independence, and part of what makes us independent is our embrace of free markets, of private property rights, entrepreneurship, free trade, limited government, the rule of law. All of these things part of what we think of as capitalism, and so I think we need to defend it.
Calvin, I'm going to ask you a very simplistic question, but really you could go on and on, I think, for hours in the argumentation of how you're going to do this, but how? How do we defend it when we have a liberal left that has taken over our media, they've taken over our schools, and they've taken over the mindset that you and I are bigots and hate mongers?
Well, you know, we could go to an awful lot of very complex, sophisticated academic stuff, but I also think that we can use some fairly simple kinds of arguments. One of them is an argument from history, and I do this in my booklet, Is Capitalism Bad for the Environment?, which the Cornwall Alliance just published. And as a matter of fact, we are happy to send a free copy of this to anybody who makes a donation of any size and asks for it. They can just do that by going to cornwallalliance.org and clicking on the donate button, and then just fill it out, make a donation of any size, and say, please send me, is capitalism bad for the environment? At any rate, this argument, a pretty simple one, just says, well, let's look at the track records. Which countries have the track records of the worst environmental disasters, and which countries have the track records of the best environments? And the answer to that is absolutely crystal clear, and I spell it out in my booklet. I give a number of examples. The socialist, communist countries have horrible environmental track records. They've done just disastrous things, like, for instance, the former Soviet Union, having reversed the flow of some rivers, deprived the Aral Sea, which once was the world's sixth largest saltwater lake, of most of its water, reduced its size, its surface area by 80-some%, reduced its water volume by about the same amount, and made it so much more salty that it destroyed most of the fish life in it, and it no longer, by its former massive size as a lake, was able to moderate temperatures in the region, so the temperatures rose in the summers and fell in the winters, and that resulted in decimating hundreds of thousands of square miles of formerly wonderful agricultural land. So that's one example. The Three Gorges Dam on the Yangtze River in China is another example. Horrendous environmental problems associated with that, and those were done by those two countries' communist governments. But those are just two examples. There are many, many more. Nothing in the free market Western countries even begins to compare with those sorts of environmental disasters. And, you know, there's a really simple way to get at why that happens. It's because in free market economies, people own property. Private persons own private property. And so they have an incentive to take care of it. Whereas in socialist countries, you know, private property is very, very limited. Most property is public. And that leads to a simple question. Why do you find graffiti on public bathroom walls and not on the bathroom walls in your house. Because you own your house and you have an incentive to keep it good so that you can get a good resale out of it. But frankly, nobody really owns the public bathroom walls, so nobody has an incentive to take care of them.
You know, Calvin, you're a very common sense individual, and I enjoy having you on the program. But I've got to tell you that my frustration and my outright anger is at a high level this morning when we're hearing, after those debates last week, those two, like I called it earlier this morning, Sesame Street for Adult debates with the Democratic nominees. It was ludicrous to listen to some of their ideas about the green energy, the Green New Deal. We're going to stop this. We're going to have this. The American taxpayers are going to love to pay for this new idea. I mean, my goodness, this thing is snowballing. Can we melt the snowball?
Yeah, I think we can, and I think over time we will. What will happen increasingly is that as far as those ideas are actually implemented, people's energy costs will skyrocket. I mean, Obama promised that if he were elected president, electricity rates would skyrocket, and in those states that took his policies seriously and mandated a rapid replacement of fossil fuels for electricity generation with wind and solar, electricity prices did exactly that. They skyrocketed, and people in those states are pretty ticked off about it. Many of them are moving out of those states, like California. Californians moving to Texas, for instance, to escape those high electricity rates. As that spreads across the country, more and more people will get upset, and I think that ultimately, because we haven't yet lost our democratically elected form of government, ultimately we'll see that reversed. But it could take some time, and unfortunately it can harm an awful lot of people in the meanwhile, and that's why the Cornwall Alliance for the Stewardship of Creation exists, is to bring the work of our network of scholars to bear on questions like this so that people can understand why it's foolish to think that wind and solar, which can really only deliver effectively for, on average, about 3 or 4 hours per day, could compete with coal or natural gas for generating electricity, which can deliver 24/7, 365, on-demand, instantaneous, absolutely reliable, and at far lower cost.
You know, right there, Calvin, I want you to elaborate on something else that just crossed my mind. You take the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes and the rest of these lunatics that are saying in 12 years we're all going to burn up. Well, wait a minute. Stop. Do they realize the transitioning from fossil fuels to just strictly solar and wind? What about agriculture? What about transportation? What about supplying all the needs necessary for communities? What about our security? Nobody's coming up with solid answers as to how that's going to be protected or enhanced.
Yeah, Zeb, you're not being at all fair to these people. These people are politicians. You're expecting them to think as if they were, what, consumers, citizens. Let's see, maybe academics who have studied the engineering and economics of energy and electric grids and things like that. They're just not. They're not there. Where they are is trying to stir up popular support for what they think are popular ideas. But of course, those ideas are popular as long as people can be fooled into thinking that all this stuff is going to make life cheaper for everybody. Well, hey, after all, free college. Yeah, free college, but who's going to pay all the professors?
Yeah.
Who's going to pay all the utility bills of all the college buildings? Who's going to buy all the books for the libraries, all the equipment for the science laboratories and things like that? Who's going to pay for all that stuff? They ain't no such thing as a free lunch. And they also ain't no such thing as free college. You might not pay for it, but somebody does, and that's going to turn out to be taxpayers. So, have pity on these poor people.
Yeah.
They're not academics.
Well, Calvin, what about the youth, though? I want to go back to the youth in America right now today. I saw an interview, a man on the street interview this last Friday evening, and I almost lost my supper. None of them not one of the interviewees could come up with a designation or a meaning of what socialism was, but they were bound and determined that we should go there. They don't have a clue as to what we're doing.
Yeah, this is what is so incredibly sad, Zed, and you and I have talked about it before on your program, is that America's public schools have failed us miserably because they're not teaching students basic history, basic economics, basic political science. So most of our students, for instance, can't name any of the real freedoms guaranteed in our Bill of Rights. Most of our students can't tell you which century it was in which the Civil War occurred. Most of our students can't tell you what socialism is versus free market economics. And, it's not all that difficult to teach. A really simple way to do it is this. Walter Williams and Thomas Sowell, two of my favorite economists, do it this way. They say, look, socialism is the violent means of exchange, and capitalism is the peaceful means of exchange. In capitalism or free market economics, I can get you to give me something only if I promise to give you something that you value more than what you'll give to me. And you can get me to give you something only if you promise to give me something that I'll value more than what I give to you. So that's a peaceful means of exchange. But in socialism, the government tells you what you're going to do, what you're going to give to somebody, and it warns you that if you refuse, it's going to fine you, or it's going to put you in jail, or perhaps worse, it might shoot you. Socialism is the violent means of exchange. Another way of distinguishing the two is, again, very, very simple. Capitalism, the free market, says private persons owning private property decide who makes what for whom at what price using what resources and when. Socialism says that governments decide who makes what for whom at what price using what resources and when. Now, if private persons are doing it, well, they don't have the legal option of forcing others to go along with their ideas. But when government does that, government is the legal monopoly of force, and it can force people to do what it tells them to do, and if they don't, again, it can fine or imprison or even kill them. So socialism and capitalism are opposite ends of the spectrum. One, I think, is what most people would prefer to have, liberty and peace, whereas other people, I don't think many people at all want to have violence and enslavement.
Calvin, I'm not asking you to give any respect or verbiage about any of the Democratic nominees that are running for president, but after watching those debates last week, the first two debates of the two sections of candidates, you had to come away very, very cold and chilled at the attitude of gimme, 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 and we're going to take from you, the wealthy, and distribute it, and the laws, the lack of respect for our Constitution. I was really afraid after I listened to those people up on the stage last week.
Yeah, and it's really sad that kind of thinking is going around the country, even, Zed, in our churches. And there's an increasing movement for what's called social justice, which is basically a demand for the redistribution of wealth from those who produce it to those who don't.
Yeah.
And there are some people who actually claim that the Bible requires this in various different passages. I have been studying that issue since the early 1980s, and I've written extensively on it. And fairly recently, I published a booklet called Social Justice versus Biblical Justice, How Good Intentions Undermine Justice and Gospel. And I think you've read that in the past.
Yes.
You've talked about it on your program.
Mm-hmm.
That's not our particular offer for this month, but frankly, again, if someone will go to cornwallalliance.org, scroll down and click on the donate button and make a donation of any size and ask for social justice versus biblical justice, we'll send them a free copy.
I always look forward to having you on this program. I certainly hope you'll consent to coming back in the near future, and I want to extend to you and yours a very happy and cherished Independence Day, 4th of July for this year. God bless you, Calvin Beisner. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Zeb. God bless you, too.
Thank you, sir. Always a man of great common sense and very articulate, and I appreciate him. With the Cornwall Alliance, Calvin Beisner. Thank you very much. Whoa, we've got to get a weather forecast on here really quick, and the weather brought to you, as I had all the papers fall on the floor, the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. They're not the new kids on the block. Let me tell you, they've been there, they're established, they're professional, they can help you, your family, and your business. They know. Absolutely the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, all of this and more to help you. With offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Monday, and we're expecting a beautiful day, sunny skies, and a high of 87. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow, expecting sunny skies, high of 85 with an overnight low of 54. Then for Wednesday, not too bad. A few clouds rolling into the valley, partly sunny skies, high of 80. We do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms by Wednesday night with a low of 52. Then for Independence Day, Thursday, partly sunny skies, slight chance of rain showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast with a high of 80. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb Ranch.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gina, and appreciate our sponsor for this hour, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. As I said, the best of accounting services to you, your family, your business, whether you're in agriculture, manufacturing, construction, whatever, they will help you. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Wheels, old buddy, old pal, could we have a good word for the Silver State Stampede?
Thunder of hooves, the thrill of an 8-second ride. All the fun of PRCA rodeo action is at your fingertips July 12, 13, and 14 when the 2019 Silver State Stampede makes its way to the Elko County Fairgrounds. This PRCA-sanctioned rodeo brings you the thrill of pro riders, mini bull riders, Old West bronc riding, mutton busting, and the always popular Ring of Fear. Family Day on Sunday and the dancing to the music of Moonshine Outlaws. Show your support on Saturday night with Tough Enough to Wear Pink. Gates open on Friday and Saturday at 4 p.m. and on Sunday gates open at 12 noon. Advance tickets on sale now at J.M. Capriola's, Roy's, IFA, the Boot Barn, and the Elko Chamber of Commerce office. Family entertainment at its very best. The 2019 Silver State Stampede, open ride on the wild side.
Oh, they have a lot of fun down there in Elko, and I think we've got, I'm trying to see on my list here tomorrow, I think we've got somebody coming on Wednesday talking about the Silver State Stampede. You know, this is Patriotic Week. I have said that I was going to treat this week with patriotic music going into every break. I asked Wheels to help me on that. Everything we do is going to be centered around our Independence Day on this 4th of July 2019. We have so much. I dare anybody out in the audience to say I'm wrong. We have so much to be thankful for living in this country, the United States of America. This land, its heritage, its history, its value, everything that we have in this country, it is the greatest country on the face of the earth. Now, for you liberal loons out there that want to criticize that statement and come after me and say, oh, you're a white nationalist. Yes, I am. I can't change or help the color of my skin. I love what I am, and I also am very proud of this nation. So under the definition in Webster's Dictionary of being a nationalist, I guess I am. And I condemn anyone that tries to put this country down. Don't forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more as they work for you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. I know they're all geared up for a lot of activity and fun over there this week at the Independence Day Rupert 4th of July celebration. They're very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Please give them a call for an appointment at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Calls are welcome. I've got time for a call or two. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I just hope that whatever you do, wherever you go this week on Independence Day, 4th of July, that you take just a minute away from maybe the homemade ice cream and the picnics and the cherry pie a la mode and the family and the games and the parades. Just take a minute and remember that red, white, and blue flag that flies at the head of our parades and over our office buildings, on your property, in significance of all the sacrifice that has been given to you and your family from previous generations. Just stop and say, thank you. Thank you for everything they have done, the blood, the tears, and the lives, to make this country what it is, the greatest country ever, ever. Coming up next hour, we have Gregory Wrightstone, and he is the author of the book called Inconvenient Facts, and we're going to have him on the air. Then, of course, at 10:32, the lovely Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Gardens. And, boy, with this heat and the warmer climes and all of a sudden the bugs and everything are out, your questions about gardening and how to save your gardening crops, etc., just give us a call. We'd love to have you on the air. Following the lovely Miss Vicky at 10:30, we're going to have about a 5 to 7 minute interview with Alan Johnson over at the Rupert 4th of July celebration for Independence Day, and he's going to bring us up to speed as to the events that are going on through the rest of this week. Right now, we're going to let Wheels come in with some patriotic music on this Patriot Week and take us up to news from CBS. Wheels, take it away. Oh, good morning and welcome back. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch on this Monday, July the 1st, and thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, and they've got special deals, special tires, and save you money. Check it out today, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, of course, don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Wheels, real quick, if you please, would play the good word for the Silver State Stampede.
Nevada's oldest rodeo, the Silver State Stampede, roars into the Elko County Fairgrounds July 12, 13, and 14. This PRCA-sanctioned rodeo brings you the thrill of pro rodeo riders going head-to-head in one of the world's toughest sports, rodeo. Action kicks off on Friday with a delicious tri-tip dinner for just $10. Old West bronc riding, the Calcutta, mutton busting, PRCA rodeo action, and the always popular Ring of Fear. Dance the night away to the music of the Moonshine Outlaws. And on Saturday, show your support with Tough Enough to Wear Pink. Then on Sunday, round up the gang for the Family Day at the fairgrounds for even more rodeo action. Get your advance tickets today at Roy's, the J.M. Capriola Company, IFA, the Boot Barn, and the Elko Chamber Office. The best family entertainment this side of the Rio Grande, the Silver State Stampede. For more information, visit them at silverstatestampede.com.
All righty. Thank you very much. And also, I want to remind you before we go to our guest about our friends at Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Hello, Curtis and Lorena and the rest of the staff. They are, and this isn't brag, this is a fact, they are your electronics headquarters. My goodness, they've got it all. They've got it all. All the home theater systems, all the televisions, all the car stereo speaker systems, complete sound systems. My goodness, the HughesNet internet. Woo, the list goes on and on. They're open Monday through Saturday 9 to 6, serving you. I urge you to stop in, visit with these great folks today. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Want to call? Go ahead. 678-6997. Patterson's in Burley. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and a gentleman that just absolutely is one of my favorite guests to have on the program, and he is the author of the book called Inconvenient Facts. Let's give a great big round of applause, everybody, for Gregory Wrightstone. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, well, thanks so much. Good to be back with you, Zeb.
You know, I'm going to just say this, Greg. Are we losing, or are we at a Mexican standoff, or is there a chance we can win? This climate change crowd is getting more vocal. They're getting more vociferous. They're getting more dangerous. They've got the entirety of the Democratic Party. I mean, where are we, in your opinion?
I'm very optimistic, Zeb. I think that they're getting, actually, I think they're getting desperate. And I think the more desperate they get, the more crazier the things they say are. And people, man, I tell you, as I travel around the country, just talk to random people, people are desperate. They're thirsty for the unbiased opinions and the facts about climate change that we've talked about here before. And they really are. I see it when I talk to lots and lots of people. Because with this desperation, they're saying crazier and crazier things, and it's just the last week it was that their crocodile attacks will be increased because of climate change, and there was one last year. My favorite was that amphibians, frogs, and toads are going to get dumber. I never did quite figure that one out, and then they just spread these lies and misinformation. Some of which is easily disputable, and I think people are seeing through it. I think they're being exposed. It's kind of like the people that were in the abortion debate. Up until recently, no one really talked about these late-term abortions or born alive, and now they're talking about it, and people are realizing, man, these people are crazy. And I think we're seeing the same thing in the climate change debate when every day it's something new and different. And we talked, I believe last time I was on, we talked about this UN report that recently came out where they're predicting up to 1 million species going extinct. And I took a look at the same data and found out that species extinctions have been in a significant long-term decline. Where they're saying there'll be 25,000 to 30,000 species going extinct per year. I looked at the actual data, and it's 2 per year. 25,000, 2, and quite a bit different. So no, I'm very optimistic about what's going to go on, and we just need to get the information out there. And I think this book and I use lots of people I talk to have used my smartphone app to give you this unbiased, factual information in the palm of your hand.
You know, and Greg, I appreciate that's why I want you on this program. Now, I mean, you're a common sense, very straightforward approach to the lunacy that's going on the left. But you know, they never talk about, they being the left, they never talk about solutions and how they're going to achieve those solutions. They don't talk about solar and wind power as an entity that can be adapted and applied to agriculture for food production. They don't talk about mass transit or transportation systems across this country to supply goods and services. They just leave it a blanket type approach of, oh, we've got to go green with solar and wind. And none of them not to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, none of them can really sit down and answer questions as to how they're going to transition without absolutely destroying our economy.
Absolutely. And what I've really been talking about lately, Zeb, has been what's their goal? Their goal is to reduce CO2 emissions, but the overall goal from that is what? They think by doing that they're going to lower the temperature of the Earth. That's their overall objective. And if we just look at Oregon, or not Oregon, we'll go to your home state here, which is Idaho. Idaho has 0.4% of all the CO2 emissions in the nation. And if Idaho were to reduce 100% of its emissions, it would have 7 millionths of a degree Fahrenheit change by 2100.
Oh, my.
Less than 1,000th of a degree. It would round up, let's call it 1,000th of a degree Fahrenheit of temperature rise. It would be averted if you got rid of all the CO2 emissions. And we see that. I just finished a commentary on New York and New York City because New York City just passed a resolution last week declaring a climate emergency. And I took a look at that. It'll be hopefully picked up in the New York Post tomorrow morning. If they reduced, the entire state of New York reduced its CO2 emissions, it would avert 0.003 of a degree Fahrenheit in warming by the year 2100.
Oh, my.
How many jobs lost is that worth?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say 0.
We have a caller with a question, Greg. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we have a caller calling in. We'll take the call, and then we'll go back into our conversation. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Thank you.
Yes, along with your talking about temperature rising and CO2 emissions, but back 10 years ago, they were talking about how black asphalt roads help increase the temperature in areas. And I wonder if they're going to bring that back up again, because the cities have a lot more than us out here in the rural areas. I'll let you go.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please, Greg.
Well, of course, asphalt roads and just it's called the urbanization effect that raises temperature, and that's true. And another thing related to asphalt roads, I looked. They oiled my road here last week in front of my home. What? And I used to work where I used to work. If you put a cup full of oil on the ground, you had to report that to the EPA, report an oil spill. You had to go through all this, but yet they're actually putting exactly the same stuff. They're spreading it on my road, and they do it all over the United States, and they seem to be okay with that. So I mean, that's just kind of an aside. Yeah.
We have another caller calling in with another question, and caller, quickly, you're on the air, please.
Well, speaking of Oregon and CO2 emissions and radical climate, law that wants to be, the governor of Washington and Oregon, they're both insane. And in order to prevent this new bill going through, state senators from eastern Oregon, 12 of them, they're Republicans. They left the state, and they won't go form a caucus and vote. So this bill will be enacted into law in Oregon. It's a state bill, state senators. And I don't know where the status is of it at all, but it's going to harm Oregon's economy. And it's going to damage it. And these senators are from, like I said, eastern Washington, eastern Oregon. But just across the border from us, these insane people are right next door to us. Washington, Oregon, California, and even the governor of Montana, who is running for president. He's insane, too. I'll hang up.
Well, caller, I know that you were thinking about the Oregon House recently trying to pass that state's climate action plan, and that's the main reason that I had Greg come on this morning. So, Greg, he opened the Pandora's box. I'd like you to discuss about the people that had the gumption and the guts, if you will, to tell the governor, no, they're not going to vote on it.
Yeah, thank God for the GOP state senators. The House in Oregon passed this climate action plan. In it, they were calling for It was a cap-and-trade proposal, and they wanted to reduce carbon dioxide emissions in the state by 80%.
Wow.
And it went to the Senate, where the Democrats had a majority and was expected to pass, but you need a two-thirds majority for a quorum to take a vote. So the Republican senators, in order to prevent a quorum in the bill coming up, skedaddled, and they were sheltering in place, I understand, in Idaho, and which is good for them. Thankfully, the session ended yesterday, June 30th. And it was, so now the session is over, and unless the governor calls a special session, they can't, this bill is dead and gone. And thank God for that. The Senate president announced last Wednesday that he did not have enough votes on the Democrat side to pass this.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, because it would, again, it's painful. And again, I took a look. I was using what's called the Magic Simulator, and you can actually look at that on my smartphone app. We've just added it as a feature to calculate how much warming from CO2 would be averted if they did that. And again, it was 0.002 of a degree Fahrenheit by the year 2100.
Oh,
you can see my commentary I wrote about the Oregon situation and see that data at my website blog, inconvenientfacts.xyz. You can read about that there. And so, no, it looks like the Oregon bill is not going to pass. And what also they do, they and others, when they provide justification for this in the New York City resolution. I just finished a commentary on that about an hour ago. And the justification that they use for these things are just flawed. They're making stuff up. They're saying that severe weather-related deaths are going to increase, and actually we've been in a huge, significant decline from severe extreme weather-related deaths. 98% decline over the last 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about global warming killing people, but yet the data tells us that 15 to 20 times as many people die due to heat as they do due to cold. Due to cold rather than heat. So cold kills 15 to 20 times as many people than heat does.
Absolutely.
The justification of what they're basing this, what they're trying to do, is flawed. It will be economically crippling to the people. And then even if they do pass it, and I use the exact same data the EPA came up with to show just any change in the Earth's temperature will be so small as to be equal to zero. It's barely distinguishable from zero, and below. It's so small it's below measurement techniques.
But Greg, is this a sign of the future times with the states, be it California or New York or Oregon or Inslee up in Washington, etc., to develop and try to pass a cap and trade program on energy, and without really the public being aware because of gullibility and naivete, have this slipped through in various states?
It has. California's passed one that's restrictive and economically crippling. But we see here, just look at Oregon. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. Yes, they're going to try and propose these things. We need to provide common sense and a pushback on how silly these things are. They're trying to control the uncontrollable, is what they're trying to do. And by that I mean the temperature of the Earth. And when you put it like that, what do you want to do? What do you want to do, Bill? You want to change the temperature of the Earth, right? Well, I'm not buying it. Neither you or I bet not one of your listeners is going to buy it either. So we just said we got to get the facts out there, and we got to get common sense. People around the world are waking up. I mean, people are being voted out of office. Canada is rejecting it. In Alberta, there's been a sea change there. We see it across the countries in Germany and Spain. These people are sick of high energy costs, and we see that Australia is a hotbed of climate skepticism and rejection of these green policies there. So I'm hopeful.
What are we going to do, though, Greg? And I don't want to sound negative, but it's something we have to discuss. What are we going to do with our education system that seems to be buying into this hook, line, and sinker? What do we do to get some common sense in that area?
Yeah, no, you raised a great point. We just saw that recently with my own local library. Rejected my book in the library, although they talk about diversity of thought and diversity of opinion, but we're going to ban your book. We see that in our school systems. You are right about that. It's a huge problem. It's not just climate change. It's on so many levels, but climate change is probably just a great example of how our children are being brainwashed. And I was fortunate just 2 weeks ago. I was in Washington, D.C. I spoke to almost 200 college students down there at the Phyllis Schlafly Eagle Collegiate Summit in Washington, D.C. Those kids, these are the next generations of our leaders. And I took boxes of books and gave a signed book to each one of those college students. And those people were really... The kids, they actually loved my app because that's what they're all about. They're all about these smartphone apps.
We have another quick call. I've got about 3 minutes left. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, and thanks for taking my call. The solution to all of the problems that we keep talking about, climate change, the censorship, starts with being a part of the UN. And until we get out of that and undo the commitment to the Agenda 21 and the Agenda 30, we are going to be, it won't matter who we put in as representatives, they will have to serve that because the United States has signed on to it.
You know, caller, I am so glad you brought that up, and I'm going to have Greg respond to that on the air. Thank you. I agree with the caller. I am not a United Nations fan. I would love to see us just kind of wash our hands of that situation. Greg, what are your thoughts?
Well, your caller put it better than I could have. I was saying amen, brother. It is part of this UN proposal, and in fact, I was just on Agenda 21 radio last week. We had a half an hour interview with them and extended it over into an hour. Really got into deep in the weeds with some of this stuff, and it's scary what they're trying to do, and we got to fight back on it. Thank God for Donald Trump. I mean, he's taken us out of the Paris Climate Accord, and he's putting people in place like Willie Happer. That have common sense. Willie Happer's a physicist, a climate physicist, actually, and people are calling him a science denier. And he and I'm pretty much aligned with what he has to say about climate change and CO2. It's not that it's not happening. There's a slight warming effect from increasing CO2. It's a greenhouse gas, but it's modest, very small, and overwhelmed by the same natural forces that they've been driving temperature since the dawn of time. They didn't stop. All these natural forces did not stop in the middle of the 20th century.
Real quick, short answer on this, Greg. I want to talk a little bit about politicians. Why is it that we see a complete divide, a chasm, if you will, of politicians from the GOP versus the left with the Democrats? It seems like the Democrats are hook, line, and sinker in favor of radical climate change agreements.
They are. And I don't know. There's one Democrat that's in the Senate that actually has common sense, but he won't say it. I hate to mention his name because he's from West Virginia. I don't want to get him unelected, but he's got my book. And I guess that would be Joe Manchin.
Yes.
But I don't know why he hasn't gone over and become a Republican. I married a girl from West Virginia. She grew up as a Democrat in West Virginia because it was solidly Democrat. Everybody was. She ain't a Democrat today, I can tell you that. She scares me sometimes. She's way further right than I am, and she doesn't back down. So it's good for her. But Joe Manchin, again, West Virginia it's been an amazing story down there. That we flipped from strongly Democrat to just almost across the board Republican, except for Joe.
I want to say how much I appreciate your being on the program, the author of Inconvenient Facts, and he's been here many, many times. Gregory Wrightstone, God bless you. Enjoy Independence Day 2019. Please come back soon.
Will do, Zeb. Thanks. Good to talk to you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Very straightforward gentleman talking about the lunacy on the left with climate change and all the things that they claim they know, but they know very little about. We got to pay some bills here real quick. I want to remind you about our friends at Dino's Septic Service. Oh, my goodness sakes, they provide a service that you and I don't want to do. We don't want to be standing out there pumping a septic tank, no, on a hot July day. No, we don't want to be involved in liquid waste removal. No, we don't want to clean out those sewer and sink drain lines. Oh, no, but they do. They do it with a smile on their face. All you have to do to get the best of service is get a hold of our friends at Dino's Septic Service. And the numbers to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service. They really care, and they will help you. Dino's Septic Service, with that big truck that says smells cargo on the way. You get a hold of them right now. We're going to be back in just a moment. Well, wait a minute. I've got one other good word I want to get in here before we go to the break at the bottom of the hour. And that, of course, is with our friends over at Greystone Crossing. I'm really impressed with Greystone Crossing Independent Living for Seniors. Believe me, the people that live there, reside there, and enjoy living there get 3 homemade meals and snacks provided every day. Great food, housekeeping, transportation to their local appointments, like if you have to go to your doctor, etc. And I'll tell you what, when the kids come to visit, you don't have to worry about the chores. It's already done. I urge you to call our friends, and that's Matt or Kelly at Greystone Crossing at 650-4979, 650-4979, and be interested in finding out more information for the best in senior living at Greystone Crossing, located on El Fresco Road, 21st Street, for those that don't understand where that is, just a mile east of Walmart. Great place, great people serving you at Greystone Crossing. Right now, we'll take a break and be back with Vicky's Country Garden.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to our last half hour, and it's time for Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Gardens at 185 South 600 West of Paul with the lovely Miss Vicky, and here she is. Enter stage left. Wonderful lady. Hello, Vicky.
Good morning, Zeb. Summer's back.
Yeah, it left for a long time, and boy, do I love it. I just love the warm temperatures, and with that, I've got to start the program off this morning by asking you this. We had an email from a lady that is a first-year gardener. She's never had a garden before, and she says, well, it looks like all is well. My crops are up, and my job is done. It's not really that way yet, though, is it?
No. I'm glad that everything's doing well, but now it takes the care to keep everything doing well with the watering and the fertilizing and the keeping the bugs and the critters out. So
let's kind of define.
Work kind of starts all over in a different form now.
Yeah. Give us kind of a rundown as to, sure, the garden might look really good. It's nice and green and all the radishes and everything, the corn and the potatoes, everything's growing and going. But give us a little explanation about what you should do or look for on a daily basis to make sure it maintains its health.
Okay, you want to walk through your gardens and look and check the leaves on your plants. That's where your diseases are going to show up. That's where your bugs are going to show. If you've got leaves that are rolling and curling, open them up, see if there's bugs in there. Aphid have been a real problem this year. They've really come out in full force. And so you can unroll those leaves, and if there could be like I say, either green aphids, black aphids. There could be little cocoons in there. There could be all kinds of things. So you got to make sure that it's not bugs that's causing a problem. Look at your leaves, see if there's any spots on them. If they are rolling and looking kind of dark and funny, then start looking for other problems, which is a beginning of a fungus. If you get brown spots on the leaves, there's different things like that. People are coming in every day with little baggies of leaves for me to look at to see what's going on with their plants, and it's been ranging anywhere from a ton of aphid to leaf miners to just disease, fungus, and that type of thing.
Man. Well, it sounds to me like you've got to be a kind of a detective every day to make sure that something evil hasn't invaded your garden.
That's right. I mean, because they can do a lot of damage in just a day or two. So, I mean, it's just a nice, go out early in the morning, when it's nice and cool, and just kind of take a look at things. And don't worry about the leaves on the bottoms of the tomatoes. Those older leaves down there, they will turn yellow and they will drop off. Those are your older leaves. Keep an eye on your new growth. That's where as long as you've got healthy new growth, things are normally perking along fine. Those old bottom leaves, during transplant, during moving them around, getting them from the greenhouses, getting them home, that you can damage those leaves. Just pinch those off, and you're good to go on it. It's not, those are not the leaves to be concerned about. Be concerned about your newer growth up at the top.
We've asked this question, I think, almost every program, and I still get more questions every week from first-time gardeners. And I even thought about not mentioning it again this week, but evidently there's some concern and questions about when do we harvest our garden? How do we know when our crops have completed the cycle?
Well, you've got different things. Radishes and that are going to be your earlier things. Your peas should be coming off now, if not already off of there. Those are kind of early things. Radishes are usually, they should have been, depending on how long you've had them in, but they should be coming off pretty much now. The earlier things are the lettuces, things like that. Once you get a nice stand of lettuce, then that's the time to go. You can cut the lettuce, and then it will grow back. Mm-hmm. It'll come back up for you. So you cut your lettuce, your spinaches, things like that. Those are all things that can be coming off. Potatoes, you don't have to worry about them yet because they haven't. They're not matured. Carrots are a later crop. Squash, cucumbers. I mean, you'll know when you've got cucumbers setting on. You can pick cucumbers pretty much anytime you get a little bit of size on them. That type of thing. So it's kind of, if you pay attention to your plants and know what they're supposed to look like when you're going to harvest, you'll know when they're ready. Squash and things like that will be later in the summer and the year. So
okay. We did have some letters from some people that were interested in renovating the exterior of their home with maybe a change in the attitude and the personality of their home. Is it too late in the year to consider that? Is it a spring project, or do they still have plenty of time to do that?
Oh, there's plenty of time to do things in the yard. You can still, you can still plant shrubs and trees and things of that nature. It takes a little bit more care right now. My main thing is you don't want to come in and plant a whole bunch of new shrubs and new trees and then leave for 3 weeks on a vacation.
Right.
Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes you come back to dead plants. If you're there to take care of things and water properly, you have no problem planting things right now. We've got a good supply of some real nice perennials and shrubs and trees and ornamentals, the different lawn art and all of the rock and everything like that to finish a project out. Just make sure you've got, there's going to be care given to the live plants is the main thing.
Okay. Now, when it comes to doing the exterior design of your home and everything to maybe refurbish or redesign things, we had mentioned many times on this program about all they need to do to get your opinion and ideas. Just take a picture of the exterior of their home where they're thinking about a project, and you can help them, right?
Yeah, just bring me in a picture, and we can take a look at it. That gives me, like I say, the visual idea as to where we have window wells, where we have doors, where we have big windows, those kind of things that we don't want to block. And it gives me an idea as to what side of the house we're dealing with, the sun, the shade, that kind of thing. And those are all very important things for plants, because you don't want to put a plant that needs total shade, stick it on the south side of the house in the full sun, because it'll burn up. So those are the kind of things we can help you decide.
We had another letter, and I remember 2 years ago, I talked to you personally on the air about our problem over here with quackgrass. And is there a particular time that quackgrass is more prevalent? Is it like after we've had a rainy spell and then it gets real warm? Talk to us a little bit about that. And what precautions can a person take on their lawn?
Well, quackgrass is just a royal pain all the time. But yes, this spring was a perfect time frame for quackgrass and crabgrass and that to get started. The cool temperatures, the wet ground is perfect. It doesn't need fertilizer or anything. All it needs is a little water and some decent growing temperatures, and you're good to go. The best time to get on the quackgrass, to me, you need to stay on it all summer, but is late in the fall. Hit it late in the fall when it's it's pulling all that energy back into its roots so it can come out so nice and healthy in the spring. Hit it with your Roundup and that type of thing late in the fall, and let it pull that chemical down into that root a little harder. You'll get a little better kill on it. It's just something you're going to be fighting all the way along. You just have to stay on top of it, basically, is where the problem's at there. As far as the lawns go, yes, pay attention to your lawn. If you've got if all of a sudden you're seeing dry spots that you think are dry spots, they look like, like maybe the sprinklers aren't hitting them, check the ground, see if there's moisture. If you've got decent moisture and you can check your sprinklers and know that area is being hit with water and it shouldn't be brown, then start thinking about bugs. That's when sod webworm can kind of kick in. And if that grass comes up real easy in your hand when you reach down and tug on that brown grass, if it just comes up real easy, there's a real good chance you've got sod webworm going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a major problem because they eat the roots right at the ground level. And so you need to get a chemical down and get them little beasts stopped too, because they are a royal pain.
Well, Vicki, you kind of answered my next question. I had a lady that called me on my cell phone this past Saturday, and she said when Vicki's on the air, she said it's hard to probably relate to this on the radio without seeing it, but she said, my beautiful front lawn has different shades of green. Why?
Well, there can be quite a few different reasons. Fungus can cause different shades of green in a lawn. We've had a lot of rain in the spring, and that can come on now. If it's kind of real dark in spots, it can be what's called fairy ring, and that is a fungus, and there is treatment for that to get that to clear out of there, and that type of thing. If it's yellowing, kind of getting a yellow cast, it can be an alkali patch, or it can be too much water. Mm-hmm. That's kind of drowning it out.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's different things that can cause changes in lawn coloring, but most of the time a lot of times it can be like some type of a fungus from where we've had so much rain this spring, and then people went right into watering their lawns and have kept them too wet, and that can be a problem. But fairy ring is one that turns real dark and it shows up more in an actual circle in the lawn. Can be also another thing that can discolor lawns is dog urine can make real odd colored spots in the lawn. It can go either real dark or it can yellow out and burn.
I see.
So there's lots of different things that can cause problems.
Well, right now it's time for the world famous. They're listening in Czechoslovakia, Japan, all over the world for Vicki's Garden Tip of the Week.
Well, this is the week of the 4th of July. It's us celebrating our independence, and my suggestion is get out early in the morning, get your watering done, take care of your garden, and then go to the parade or have family in. Enjoy the 4th, sit back, and remember why.
Amen. Now, you're going to be in the Rupert Parade this year, correct?
Yeah, we are.
And the float's going to be obvious that they'll know it's you?
Yeah. Nobody ever has to wonder who we are.
You know, for some reason, I understand. Listen, I want to tell you...
Did you ever get over to see my horse?
It is amazing, and I salute you for that. And please, thank you for reminding me. I wanted to compliment you. And you also sent me pictures, too, by the way, and that was very nice. Thank you very much. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to the number one lady that understands gardening and any and all things connected to it, and that's Vicki at Vicki's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. And real quick, I know the 4th of July you're going to be closed, but what about the hours?
Okay, we're open 9 to 6 this week, and then we will be closed on Thursday the 4th. Friday and Saturday, we're going to be here from 10 to 3, and we are going to be closing Sundays now unless someone needs something and can make an appointment with us, then we'll come in and take care of the needs that they have on a Sunday if we need to.
I just love having you on the air. Vicki, thank you. God bless you, and have a wonderful Independence Day. Thank you for being on the program this morning.
You bet. We'll talk to you later then.
All right. Thank you very much. Vicki's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul, with the lovely Miss Vicki. Thank you very much. Holy cow, we've got to get a weather forecast on here real quick. Weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and his great staff, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call and find out more about all the great meats for the 4th of July, like marinated pork ribs and tri-tips, bratwurst, and so much more. 324-7657. Go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats from Scarrow's Meats. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Monday, and we're expecting a beautiful day, sunny skies, and a high of 87. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow, expecting sunny skies, high of 85 with an overnight low of 54. Then for Wednesday, not too bad. A few clouds rolling into the valley, partly sunny skies, high of 80. We do have a slight chance of rain showers or thunderstorms by Wednesday night with a low of 52. Then for Independence Day, Thursday, partly sunny skies, slight chance of rain showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast with a high of 80. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Not too bad. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate that. And the weather brought to you by our dear friends, and they've been with us a long time on this program. Don Scarrow and his excellent staff at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657, for all the family gatherings and the company picnics and everything else. And the 4th of July, it's Scarrow's Meats, where they are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we're going to have the spokesperson with us for the great big Rupert 4th of July Independence Day schedule of events and fun in Rupert. Alan Johnson, how in the world are you this morning?
Well, good morning, Zeb. I'm fine. How are you today?
Not too bad. Well, now listen, I heard a rumor that you've been just kind of living in the city park, enjoying the music and eating the food.
Yeah, we kicked off the show on Saturday morning with our Christmas in July breakfast at 6 o'clock, and we actually finished that night at around 11 with our fireworks celebration. I don't know, the City of Rupert Police Department told us we had approximately 5,000 people in the downtown area Saturday night, so it was a great big start to a lot of fun here in Rupert.
Oh, my goodness. Well, here it is now, Monday, July the 1st, and tell us what's on the docket for today.
Well, we're continuing on. We're kind of different here. We celebrate for this year what amounts to 6 days, so we're on day 3 now, and this evening we have, our food booths are open, first of all, around the square, starting at 12 o'clock, so all of our food vendors invite everybody down for lunch today. And then this evening we have a couple of choices. You can go to the Minidoka County Fairgrounds at 6 o'clock for the little kids and the sheep in the mutton busting competition. And the tickets for a family of four are $15, or individual seats are $5 out there. And we've already got all the slots filled, so we can't take any more kids for this year, but we could use lots of spectators out there to cheer them on. And then if you're not interested in the mutton busting, you can come to the Rupert Square for our third night of concerts tonight. We've got a band from over in the Twin Falls area coming called Kimberly Road Band, and they'll our local entertainment for that gets underway at 6 o'clock, and then the Kimberly Road Band will be doing a concert from about 7:30 till 10 o'clock right there at the gazebo in the Rupert City Park.
Okay. Now that takes us through today, but tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and on Independence Day, the 4th of July, lots of fun things to go to.
Yeah, the fun just continues every day. Tomorrow will be another round of concerts in the park, once again starting at 6 o'clock. But our featured band tomorrow evening is a group out of Boise, Idaho called the Fabulous Chancellors, and they're kind of an old-time rock and roll 50s and 60s group. So, and boy, the weather, Zeb, has just been perfect. The evenings are spectacular down in the park, and so we invite everybody to come on down. And Wednesday night will be our last set of concerts. That's another big band that we're able to get up here from Salt Lake City, and the name of that band is called Drive, and they're kind of a high-energy country band. So once again, local entertainment at 6 o'clock, and then the band itself will get underway at 7:30.
Okay. And also on Wednesday, you've got an event that is so unique and wild, and that's the Firecracker 500 lawnmower race.
Yeah, you know, we started that a while ago, and this lawnmower race business kind of has a life of its own. So the Wednesday, this is our ninth annual Firecracker 500 lawnmower race, and it's actually spawned into about a circuit of about 4 races that they do here in the local area. But where the kickoff race, that's out at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds, 6 o'clock, and you will not want to be late to get there because usually it's a sellout crowd. We do have still some registration available for those people who want to enter their race mowers, and that registration's at 4:30, and then the actual event itself gets underway at 6 o'clock p.m.
Okay. You know, one
that are $15, and then $5 for individual.
Okay. Now, Alan, the other day, and I'll take the blame, I absolutely don't think we talked too much about on Thursday, the 5K, 10K, and 40K bike race starting at 7 o'clock in the morning on the 4th of July. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is a relatively new thing. I think we're in maybe our 5th year of this, and it's now got over 200 people participating. This is a 5K, 10K, and that's your choice, walk or run, and a 40K bike division. So that will begin on the morning of the 4th of July at East Minico Junior High School at 7 a.m. And so people who'd like to get registered need to be over there by about 6:30 in the morning. The registration is $20. You can also get registered on our website, www.rupertforth.com, or there are places like the Showcase Place, the Minidoka Memorial Hospital, or Rocky Mountain Real Estate, where you can get registered. And we're also registering people every night during the concerts on the square. So many people now are running and walking. That's just turned into a really nice way to start the morning of the 4th of July, and we get that all wrapped up so then you can head over for the parade.
Okay, now real quick, I've only got a minute left, but what makes the parade in Rupert for Independence Day such a unique, huge parade?
Well, I guess, it's just become a tradition in the valley. We've been having a parade for almost 100 years in Rupert here, and this one is going to be very special. Our theme for the parade is Independence Day the Rupert Way, and we have so many of our own traditions. We decided to name the theme after all of our traditions, and so the Grand Marshals will be Dean and Linda Cameron, who've done so much for all of southern Idaho, and we'll be honoring them during the parade. And that gets underway at 11 o'clock. The parade will come from the west end of town around the Rupert Square and then go past the courthouse back out towards the Minidoka Hospital. So you can land anywhere in that vicinity and have a wonderful time watching the parade.
I'll tell you what, Alan, you've done a great job of explaining everything that's going on for the schedule of events over for the 4th of July festivities, Independence Day in Rupert. God bless you, man. Enjoy everything, and if you haven't sampled some of the food booths, you better get to work.
Yeah, exactly, and we hope you get to drop by, everybody, and see the new Rupert Park. It really is a show place.
All right, sir. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Zeb. Appreciate you. Bye.
Alan Johnson with the great Rupert 4th of July celebration in Rupert and celebrating Independence Day all this week. By the way, too, I want to say a great big shout-out to our friends with our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, the best in tires. Absolutely all the sizes, all the tread designs, everything. And right now, on certain sets of tires like the backcountry MTs and the backcountry ATs and the road control tires, you can get a rebate. Yes, great tires and save money. You better get in there and check it out today at any one of the 7 locations. Also, the best in brake service. Absolutely the best trained brake technicians helping you when you want to stop, you're going to stop. Great brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, all of this and so much more. But above all, the best in service to you. Please stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best serving you, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run. We're late. We're going to be back tomorrow morning at 8:06 with another great program. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. Hoping and wishing that you and your family have a wonderful patriotic week as we highlight on Thursday, Independence Day on the 4th of July. God bless you. And we always say at the end of the program, the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the world needs more cowboys. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.